Good morning, everyone, and happy Sunday. I'm Charlotte McGinnis, and as always, thank you so much for taking the time to join me here on Sunday mornings or at your convenience. Well, we have gotten, thank you, God, the much needed rain around here, and everything just looks so green and wonderful, and the leaves are falling. So we're going to see the symphony of fall upon us really soon. So I'm excited about that. So I hope wherever you all are, you're having a great day. We are here and looking forward to an exciting week. Got lots of fun things on the lineup this week. So today, I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I think it's very apropos for most of us. It's the courage to be authentic, and what that actually means, how we do it, how we've sort of gotten up in this false identity, not our authentic self, but our false self, which is as really attaching to what the external world, the media, TikTok, what have you, says we need to be authentic, or to be, excuse me, not to be authentic, but to be accepted and to be what the world wants us to be. So we're going to go right into the conversation here. And what is the definition of authentic anyway? Well, not false or imitation, like the imitation crab meat, right? That's not authentic. Anyway, it's real and actual, not false, but real and actual. Means that we're true to our own personality, our true spirit, and our character. And we're sincere and authentic with no pretense. Okay. So we're just who we are. And somewhere along the way, we've been led to believe that's not good enough. And of course, I like this: made or done in the same way as the original. Well, they use the example of authentic Mexican fare, but actually I choose to say that we're made and done in the same way as the original, meaning that we're created in the likeness and image of love. So we are made and done in the same way as the original. So we have to sort of find our way back to that truth of who we really are. And yeah, we've lost our authenticity. We've come to behave and act as we're programmed by the media, social media, TikTok, society, magazines, fashion, whatever it is. And whatever they say is okay, then that's what we think we need to be. So, and if we're not like that, we're not okay. And that's not the truth of who we are by any means. So I always like the idea that, today I would be considered not fitting the model context by any means. They're pencil thin. They're very thin. Their clothes hang on them. I'm not here judging by any means. 200 years ago, I would have been perfect. And so I guess I'm born 200 years too late. Now, I'm making a joke here. I really, but it's interesting. My point I'm choosing to make is that we're always changing, or media and society are always changing what it is to be okay. Got to stop listening to that crap, right? Well, last night, as I was fiddling through the channels, clicked onto something on Hulu. I was looking at Hulu and I watched about 2 minutes of it, and I was like, oh, this is sad. Mormon housewives. Well, they had to get on the bandwagon. Let's see, we got the housewives of New York and of LA and Atlanta and wherever else, and all of these reality TV shows. And these housewives are always depicted as these very beautiful, by plastic surgery standards, I guess you would say. Had plenty of work, lots of makeup, the beautiful home, the handsome husband, all of these false identities. And it's really, I kind of felt sorry. I was watching it and I'm like, this is sad. This isn't anyone who would find pleasure in this. I kind of am saying you're a little out of touch, because these ladies they're just wild. I mean, they party out of control and they're all about sex and they're putting everything on social media, TikTok and this and that. And I'm like, wow, where have we gone? That's kind of sad to me. Not kind of, it's very sad. So I didn't last too long on that. But what it did make me, and I'd already had this topic picked out, interestingly enough. So it sort of confirmed that maybe someone needed to hear this today. So really, we need to have the courage to be who we want to be in a world that's trying to make us like everyone else. And it's not easy. It really takes courage to follow your heart, to be nobody but yourself in a world uh, which is doing its best night and day to make you somebody else means that you have to fight the hardest battle any human can fight and never stop fighting. And that was a quote by E.E. Cummings. You know, the world is, for some reason, as I really love how the Course in Miracles teaches this, the world or the illusion, the dream, is upside down and backwards and contrary to really God's world, the world of heaven, to love. And there's an energy, I would say that it's dark, okay? Ego that's trying to constantly suck us in. Oh, if you do this or look this way or have this jewelry or go on this vacation or what have you, then you're going to be okay. And it's certainly fine if you opt for plastic surgery and choose to improve the way you look and your health and travel and have beautiful jewelry. But the association and identity with it is, I think, where we get caught up. You're okay and you're fine just the way you are. And it takes a lot of courage. Like E.E. Cummings says, this is the hardest battle a human can fight, is to say no to what the world tells us we need to do and be. So everything will line up perfectly when knowing and living the truth becomes more important than looking good. And that was a quote by Alan Cohen. And it's so true that when really thy will be done, when everything will line up perfectly, when we live from our truth, and that becomes more important than what we look like, what we have or don't have, and so on and so forth. And as Hamlet says, Shakespeare, Hamlet, this above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou cannot then be false to any man. So we have to, I love that, to thine own self be true. We've lost that as a society, as a culture. So it's time for us to say, okay, who am I actually? Well, it's not who the world tells me I am. It's not this constant reiteration of craziness. That's not who we are. I think there are forces that would like us to think that's who we are and to get us to buy into the multi-billion-dollar industry of everything that supports that, right? It's all, uh, I'm coming to find out that everything is about money, and I think we all know that. So yeah, you got to tell people that they're not enough unless they have this, this, and this. And if you don't look this way or have this car or take this vacation or live here or do this or do that, you're not okay. And guess what? Uh, we're seeing it from the cosmetic industry. We're seeing it from the automobile industry, pharmaceutical industry. Everything is just like, give your power to us and we'll make you feel okay. So I think it's time we say, okay, I'm on to the game and I don't want to play it anymore. I want to be authentic. I want to birth my authentic true self, which is created in the likeness and image of love, and which no matter what anyone thinks about it, it's none of my business. It's okay to be authentic. And so the authentic self is allowing our soul to be made visible. So we're living from soul. We're living from that soulful place, from that loving place. So authenticity, in other words, starts in the heart, not in the projected or illusion of false self, right? We have to go back to our heart. Bren Brown says, authenticity is a collection of choices that we make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, and the choice to let our true selves be seen. And yeah, every moment we're choosing love or fear. We're choosing the illusion or truth, okay? Uh, Sickness or health. We're constantly, moment by moment, making a choice. And often, I think if we look at it, I've heard it said, and I've shared this over the years many times, but it's a powerful point, and the numbers are very much varied, but you'll get the point. And it says we have let's just say 100,000 thoughts a day. And 99.9% of those thoughts that I have right now are thoughts that I carried from the past. And 99% of those thoughts are not even my own. They're ego-based, they're fear-based, they're in the past, they're projections of other people's idea of what is okay. So we're not even, I've talked a lot about who's thinking our thoughts, right? Well, we're programmed to think that we're not enough. And we, as I said a minute ago, we're programmed to think that we need to do this and that, and we'll be okay. But we'll never get there because, as we know, we can seek but do not find because it ain't out there. So authenticity is about being real, being genuine, not an imitation. And that's, what do you do? How do you even get there? Well, I love this. Coco Chanel says, hard times arouse an instinctive desire for authenticity. And I think that's so true. Sometimes that we've been chasing this crazy dream, all of these ideas and ideals, and this is going to fix it. This is going to make me prettier. This is going to make me more popular. This will da 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 da. And then you realize, usually when we're in a hard time, like, I have spent a lot of time and energy where I have gotten no satisfaction, no peace. So sometimes we have to go down into the darkness and into the hard times before we're willing to change. Often, I have a friend who's been sick this week, and very sick, but I'm grateful to say he's doing better. And that being said, until he got into this point, certain parts of his life, I don't think he was willing to look at or change. Now he is, right? So it took that hard time to make the change. And that's a good thing. See, so that was what prompted the change. Now we don't have to wait till the elevator gets to the bottom of the bottom floor before we get off, right? We can get off anytime. We can say, no, okay, I can change. So this is something that we're here to recognize moment by moment. As Brené Brown says, the choices we make, are these choices authentic to my true nature or what the world is dictating to me? And so when we do this, we're tuning into our inner voice, which is gentle. Our inner voice is clear. So if we want to be authentic, we need to listen to that still, small voice and be honest and open and really quiet enough to listen and be guided. And sometimes it's like, what? That makes no sense. Well, just be with it and surrender it and see where it takes you. You might be surprised. So the closer we stay to emotional authenticity and people, character authenticity, the less we go wrong. So that's real important. Authenticity, we attract, I think, as energetic vibrational beings, that which is there to teach us what we need to learn. And if we're not authentic, we're going to, I think, have people and situations that mirror that to us, right? So it's really important to stay close to, well, be true to yourself, thine self be true, but also pay attention to, who you're surrounding yourself with. What is the statement that says, your five closest friends really dictate how your life goes. So if you're hanging around people who are negative or struggling or in drama all the time, that's going to keep you in a lower vibration. So seek to surround yourself with emotional, authentic people, people that are living from their heart rather than the world's dictates. Even Hubert Humphrey says, just be who you are and speak from your guts and heart. It's all we have. And I think that's so true. The courage to really speak your truth rather than being, oh, if I say this, I may offend somebody or this or that. Now, I'm not saying just go out and blurt to the world certain things. I think that we have to be compassionate and kind, but we have what I'm speaking of and what this discussion is seeking is to understand that be true to yourself. So don't be afraid to speak your truth. It's not about pointing fingers. It has nothing to do with what's going on in the world or another person's journey. It all has to do with me and you. So the more we keep ourselves clean and bright, the more authentic we are, we see the world differently because we are the window in which we see the world. So we don't see the world, in other words, as it is, but we see it as we are. That's why I am so curious as to where I'm getting triggered. You know, I'm a person of sort of observing Charlotte and like, oh, you did good there. You really weren't very good there. A lot of judgment there. What triggered that emotion? You know, just sort of watching me, my life, and recognizing, oh, I can do better there. Oh, that wasn't so loving. And be quick to apologize. Be quick to recognize this is not how you want to be, right? And when we do this, I think it's so important right now too, is the anger that is and the division in our world, much of which comes from political. This is all happening for a reason. I really do believe it. But I would say leave your if you're getting too emotionally charged and angry, maybe it doesn't really have anything to do with one side or the other, but rather something in yourself that needs to be healed. And I speak to you because I'm teaching what I need to learn, and I've been really getting this, that I'm pretty neutral. And my prayer is not, I don't have to make Kamala wrong or Trump wrong to feel okay. My desire truly has come to the point, thy will be done. I think I know, oh yeah, I know what's right. I know what the world means. He's wrong, she's right, or vice versa. And they're evil, they're light, da, 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 da. And, you know, I get sort of pompous about it. We can, right? And I don't think that's what this is about. What I come to realize in everything, including this, what we're going through right now collectively, is that I don't know what anything is for. I know that it's for our best interest. I'm really praying to align with the greatest degree of love for everybody. I want to look at my own role of peace or lack thereof in every situation and to take responsibility. So thy will, not my will, be done. What is it that prompts this anger or this reaction to this person or this situation? Not just I am amazed at the social media, how people just rant and rave. I'm dumbfounded. And you think that's really helping the situation? Well, I don't, but maybe from experience, I can tell you, I don't. Okay, but do what you want. It doesn't have to affect me at all. But I also know that we're on a collective journey to go home, to wake up to the truth of who we are and to be authentic collectively. And so as long as any of us are asleep, we're all asleep. Because that final step from illusion to reality, from hell to heaven, is holding our brother's hand, and no one is exempt. So better check out those charges. I do too. Only the truth of who we are, if realized, will set us free. And Eckhart Tolle says that. The truth will set you free. Gloria Steinem says, but first it will piss you off because, yeah, it's going to piss you off because you got to let go of every value and belief you've been programmed to hold on to and cling to. But you're not going to be free if you're letting the illusion dictate your feeling good or feeling bad. The truth of who we are is okay with what is. We know this is a dream. Know this is a classroom. We know that we're all here to learn what we need to learn. We're teachers and students exchanging roles. No one's better than, higher than, lower than, worse than anyone else. And we're just all here on this journey together. Ram Dass, we're here to walk each other home. So remember those things. And as Nathaniel Hawthorne says, no one man can for any considerable time wear one face to himself and another to the multitude without finally getting bewildered as to which is the true one. And I think we could all relate to that. You know, we have our true identity and we know who we are, but we're afraid to put that out there because we're afraid it won't be received in the way that we would like it to be. So we just say, we just go out with a false face on, whatever that is. I like whatever the social media tells me, or the magazines, or the whatever tells me is going to make me more popular. We've all been there, and more likable, then I'm going to do that. Well, there's not much maturity or depth, I believe, in that choice. So then we become, I think it says, we get bewildered as to which one is true because we've identified so much with the illusion. So we have to understand that no legacy is as rich as honesty. We have to be honest with ourselves. We have to think for ourselves to find ourselves, right? So it's very important that we understand this. And I think that's what all this chaos in this dream is about right now. It's, as Coco Chanel says, we're in the depths of despair and pain collectively. And this is an opportunity, not a penalty or anything we have to be upset or angry about, because the situations in our life in every moment is neutral. We're the one that gives it meaning. So choose to be authentic. At the end of the day, at the end of your life, have you been authentic to yourself? And most people, I would say, at the end of their days, may contemplate that exact thing. Well, I wish I just would have done more of what made me happy and not tried to please everybody. People pleasing doesn't work so well. Example. So here we are. What do we do? Example is not the main thing influencing others. It's the only thing. And authenticity is your most precious commodity as a leader. So if you really want to change the world, we have to be the change we want to see in the world by our example. Be authentic. It's our most precious commodity as a leader. And I think that what may keep us from being authentic is fear, obviously, fear that we're not going to be liked. That makes sense, right? We want to fit in, we want to be with the cool people, whatever it is. But it's and it's the fear of not being perfect. I see more people paralyzed by they won't take on anything or be authentic because they're afraid if it's not perfect, it's not okay. So less perfection, more authenticity. Who gives a rat's about what other people think, right? It's really important to remember that because, we've lost our authenticity and we've become what, the social media and society and the world tells us what we need to be. Well, yesterday I was listening to a podcast and there was a fellow I like who was talking about the establishment. And it really got me thinking and how we are programmed, to follow the steps that somebody, the establishment, whoever, whatever that is, right, has told us to follow. And the example paradigm I'm using right now is, you're programmed to live, to be successful. We'll just use that as an example. To be successful, you you have to go through these steps. You go to these schools, and now you even see kids before they're even born, parents are trying to get them in the right daycare and the kindergarten so they can be programmed to go to Ivy League schools, which is like wacko insane to me. It's like, wow. But anyway, it's the program. And if they want to fit into that establishment, and then you climb to the top, and then all of a sudden you can only get so far because the people at the top, the ones making the rules, are saying, well, you're only going to get this far. And sorry, but we're the ones pulling the strings. But I'm using this as an example because I find, we become sheeple, right? We're just being little sheeple, following the herd. Just tell me what to do and to be successful, and I'll do it. And yeah, you may get that Ivy League degree, and you may make a nice paycheck, and you may get to live in the neighborhood that you think is so cool, and you may get to, you get the idea. But is that really your authentic self? Are you really happy? Is that what you came here to do? And then you can only go so far because you're giving your power to the establishment, okay, to the egos that are telling you this is how you go, but you're only going to get this far because you ain't going to get a piece of our pie, right? And so you begin to look at it. I laugh at it. Say, yeah, we're caught up in an upside down and backwards world, and we all take the bait sometime, right? We sheeple. So I look back at my life, and interestingly enough, I've sort of lived out of the box most of my life, and I'd say that the happiest and most successful I've ever been was when I followed my own authentic self, and I did what my heart told me to do, not what what society or others told me to do. And I've had 2 careers where I was sort of the lone wolf, and I did both my way. And one was as many years as a golf professional. You all know that, maybe not. Started playing at 7, turned pro, I think, at 19 years old, and just loved it. But when I got into golf, interestingly enough, I was never interested in a position of being a head pro, director of golf. And I had an opportunity that would have been pretty monumental when I was young, to be a head pro of a prestigious club. And I chose not to take it. And because and as a result, I will say, and I'm only sharing this because it was interesting, up to that point, I was not even a member of the establishment in golf, PGA, right? The Professional Golf Association. Never joined. I just never made sense to me. I was like, I got too many other things going on. And it never made sense to me. It just seemed like a club that I know it serves a purpose. It's a wonderful thing. And this is not judging. For me, it did not make sense. And so I had this opportunity handed to me. I had many great jobs in the golf industry for many years, and never really carried that credential. And I look at that and say, wow, I really didn't need that, because I had the confidence to be authentic to myself. I was good at what I did. I was self-motivated, and I followed my heart. And that was a good thing. I was a lone wolf. I did it my way. I'm not poo-pooing the other way either. It's just I had the courage at that time to do that. Well, same thing when I became a minister. And when I started a 501c3 in Florida 35 years ago, I had no idea what I was doing, but I just did it. I was called to do it. And I think I've shared this story over the years, that even people with good intentions, which I've listened to over the years because I respect and appreciate their guidance, I knew that I was being led down a path that probably wasn't in the best interest of myself or the center in Florida at the time. But I was honoring that person's integrity and their knowledge. So I took the bait, and the outcome obviously was perfect, but it wasn't. I think that I I lost a lot of footing because I gave in to the external and what we are supposed to believe is good, rather than my heart. So the good news is, if we can just have the courage, over the years in ministry, I've started 2 pretty successful organizations, Palm Beach Center for Living and the Namaste Center. and I did it my way. Didn't have the dictates. I listened to other people's opinions, but usually when I did, if it didn't feel good, it took me down. So it was my people pleasing that didn't work. And I think we can all relate. So it does take courage to take responsibility for everything in our life and have the courage to say no. That doesn't feel good. Thank you for sharing. So I've always loved the idea of not being what people expect me to be. We need to accept no one's definition of our life. We need to define ourselves. And I've gotten to the point where, I'm recognizing the strength and the power of that. We need to find the courage to say no to things and people that aren't serving us if we want to rediscover ourselves and live our lives authentically. And what's the downside of that? It's not a downside, but as Mother Teresa says, honesty and transparency make us vulnerable. Be honest and transparent anyway. So it's not an easy path, but it's a path, the road less traveled, right? We need to have the courage to go down that path, even though there's no real support from culture for us to do that. But the rewards are great, because the greatest reward is that you're being authentic to yourself. So do you have the courage to be authentic? And if not, why? So as we said earlier, less perfection, more authenticity. Why don't we do it? Well, I would say number one, fear of being disliked. Don't trade your authenticity for approval. I have wasted, and I think probably some of you can relate, so much time and energy and pain trying to gain approval and do what other people want. And it's caused more pain and more trouble than had I just followed my own heart. And so we have to be sure that we're allowing ourselves, maybe some people aren't going to like you and the choices you make, and that's okay, because they're not going to like you if you make the choices that they want to make. Some people just aren't going to like you. And Oprah, I love this quote from this week, and she says, the old me was afraid of losing people. The new me doesn't care. So I think that that's so important, because the new me doesn't really care what other people think. What other people think of me is none of my business. And it's so freeing. And I'm really recognizing how, there's people, it's easier for me to really like people more, because I don't put demands or expectations on them. I don't put demands on myself to have to pull everyone together and make this work or that work. And I don't have to make everyone else happy. I can make myself happy. I can bless and love everybody and just be, I find that my circle of friends is richer, deeper, and more authentic for sure. And so it takes the pressure off. And so I had no idea that being my authentic self could make me as rich as I've become, or if so, I would have done that a lot earlier. And so I love this quote from Nietzsche, and it's the individual has always struggled to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened, but no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. So I love this. We get overwhelmed by the tribe, by the constant bombardment of this is what you have to do to be liked, to be popular, to be rich, to be in the establishment, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes it's lonely and sometimes it's scary, but it's no price is too high for owning yourself. And that's what this all boils down to. Be true to yourself, to thine own self, be true. And that's the greatest gift you can give to yourself and to the world, truly. So the only the truth of who we are, if realized, will set us free. We've talked about that many, 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 many times. So I'm going to close with this quote from Steve Jobs, and it's kind of reason I'm doing this is because I really appreciate this, because if you look back at people who have really broken the glass ceiling, who have been successful, and I'm not talking about billions of dollars, maybe yes, maybe no, those who have really been the leaders in the world, they have really walked a lonely, authentic path to themselves. They don't really need other people's approval. They're on a mission. They're following their guidance or their truth. A lot of the most wonderful people that have ever walked this earth were not very popular, but they had the courage to be authentic and true to themselves. So Steve Jobs certainly didn't follow a path that was in the establishment, and yet he became one of the richest men on earth, right? Well, again, if you look at ultra successful people, meaning people who are just phenomenal at something and what they don't do it for the money. They don't do it for the accolades. They don't do it for any of that. They're just following their mission. So I'm going to close with this. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs and the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They push the human race forward, and while some see them as the crazy ones, we see genius because they're the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world, and they are the ones that do. So don't be afraid to be a misfit, a round peg in a square hole, because the world needs us to be more authentic. That's what this whole eruption of duality, conflict, fear is all about. It's about a collective awakening. And yeah, maybe it's going to take some a little longer to get it than others. But the good news is right here, right now, we can take a step towards being authentic. Shut down what the world's telling you and be true to yourself. And I promise you'll be a lot happier if you do that. Have a great day, everybody. Namaste, and see you next week.